Hi and welcome to bootcamp99.com. In today's video, we are going to see basics of programming. To start with, we will write a small C program just to print hello world. Let's get started. I have a file named main.c with the basic C structure, and it is absolutely fine if you don't understand anything out of it, because I just want to show you how a programming language will work, how we will run a program, so that you would be able to relate all these things to the concepts we are going to see in the next few slides. Fine. So this is the basic structure of any C program. Just forget about this structure. You don't need to worry about that. Our intention is to instruct the computer just to print hello world. Print within double quotes, say hello world, and I will try to run this program. What happens? So it shows some error, right? User undeclared identifier print. Did you mean printf? It is suggesting that whether you meant printf instead of print. Every programming language has got its own set of, say, rules, syntax, grammars, and a set of things that we need to learn. So in order to print something in C, we need to use a function. People call it as function whenever you put these double braces, double bracket, and I will put whatever I want to print within double quotes. Okay, and every line or the statements should end with a semicolon in C. Now I'll try to run this program and let's see. Yes, fantastic, it works. It just prints hello world. Great. So this is how a program works. Right. Now let's see some basic concepts. Right. Humans speak around 6,500 languages across the world. As we see, we write something very special, right? So there is something called as hash include in line 1, and line 3 we have int, main, bracket, curly braces. On line 5 you have something else. So there is something going on here, right? So what is this? This is called as a programming language. Okay, great. When humans speak 6,500 language, and it is nearly impossible to make the computers understand all of these. So what they have done is to simplify things, to make computers understand and to interact with the computers, to make it very simple. What they have done is they have created something called as machine language, where computers can understand only machine language, which is also called as low level language. Okay, so it can understand only 0 and 1. Something like we have A to Z in English. So a program will look something like, if you want to communicate with the machine, you need to write something like 0, 1, 1, blah, 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 blah. So to overcome this, they have made something called as programming languages. These are human understandable high level languages, which is also called as high level languages, like programming language like C, C++, Python, Java, Ruby, Rust. There are hundreds of languages around there. What they have done is, we need to learn these programming languages. These programming languages has got their own structure, their own rules, their own grammars, their own syntax. We need to learn it. We need to follow those rules. We need to write code or instruction using this language. Now, so this is how we print something. As we have seen, printf within braces, you put hi or hello world or whatever string you want, and it gets printed. We have seen this program. So this entire thing, okay, so what is this? Is line 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these are called as instructions or statements or commands you want to give to the computer. So these set of instructions, one or more lines of instruction, is called as a program. And you know what we have done is, we have created a file named main.c. We have written some lines of code, and then we click on run and you see the output. So this is a repetitive process, and this process of creating a program is called as programming. The process of creating a program. Fine. Now let me ask you a question. We learn programming languages, C, C++ or whatever it is, and computers can understand only machine language, zeros and ones. it gets converted to machine language. There comes a small piece of software named compiler or an interpreter. So the thing here is whether it's a compiler or an interpreter, it is completely based on the programming languages. Say for example, C is a compiled language, which means it uses the compiler to do all these conversions. Python is an interpreter based language. It uses interpreter to convert the Python code into a machine code. A compiler or a compiled language, okay, what it does is, what a compiler does is it takes the entire program and it tries to convert it into machine code and run the code. Say for example, in this case, this is the program what we have. Being C compiled language, it takes the entire 5 lines of code, it tries to convert it into machine language, and it run the program. In case for some reason, if there is a problem, if there is an error in any of the lines, the program will simply fail and it will not run. Okay. If it is an interpreter language, what happens is, instead of taking the entire set of instructions or the entire file, interpreter just takes the first line, it runs. Then it go to line 3, it runs. Then line 4, it will run. Line 5, it will run. There is an error in line 5, still you will be able to see line 4. So it takes line by line and it runs immediately. So that is how an interpreter works. Now what we will try to do is to go back and change the program a little bit, and let's try and get introduced to variables. My age is equal to 18. Fine. And don't forget that every statement ends with a semicolon in C. Great. But now there is something called as data type here. I need to assign the data type. Okay. So it is int, which means that integer. What it means is that I'm trying to store an integer value to this variable. Fine. Completely fine. Okay. So this is called as a variable and this is called as a data type. Now let's take a little bit of theoretical aspects. What is a syntax? You have seen that I have written a lot of things like printf, some braces, double quotes. Here I don't have any braces, but I have a semicolon on all the lines. So what is happening? Right. So basically, let's take it with these 2 sentences. I mean, what you see on the screen. Let's eat grandpa. Let's eat comma grandpa. What is the difference between these 2 lines? Just give a thought. Okay. The first line, let's eat grandpa, means you're going to eat your grandpa. Got it? Whereas the second line, let's eat comma grandpa, means you're inviting or you're asking your grandpa to join with you to have something, to eat something. So both are completely different in terms of meaning. Why is that? It is just because of this small comma what we have it here is extremely important, because it gives a different meaning altogether. We cannot just go around and throw something whatever we like. So there are specific ways how you should write a program, how it should start, how it should end, how a line should be terminated, how the next statement should follow, how you can print something, what you can print. When you consider this, so this is called as a syntax. If you want to print something, then you need to follow this. Print f braces double quotes and end with double quotes brace semicolon. So this is called as syntax. So basically, what is a syntax? Set of rules. Okay, there are specific rules that you need to follow, something like grammar. Then you need to use it. I mean, you need to use the those symbols like braces, double quote, semicolon in correct order, in a particular sequence, so that you create a properly structured program. So when you take this example printf, what it means is that this printf is a predefined function which is already there in C. someone has written for us. So we make use of this. So when you call printf, C compiler understands that we are trying to call something which has already been inside C, which is already written there, right? Now this symbols, okay, which is open braces, double quotes, double quotes and close braces. These are symbols just to denote the start and end of the string you want to print, okay? And you put the string what you want to print here in between these two, and then every line you need to terminate a semicolon. So this is pretty standard and you need to follow this up. The C compiler can understand only if you put it in this way. Now let's see what is a variable under data type, and we have seen we have declared a variable named age, right? So a variable, it just represents a value, okay? We want to put a value into a variable, like say x equal to something, b equal to something, or b equal to something. In addition to the value, we also need to mention what type of data we are going to store, which is extremely important because there are a lot of types. I mean, it can be a string, meaning it can be alphanumerical letters. It can be an integer value, or it can be a decimal value. It can be just a character. So there are a lot of data types which you learn in the programming language, which you choose, because it differs, it varies from one language to another. Okay, what happens is once you put this variable, it will be taken and put it in your RAM, in your system's RAM. Okay, RAM is random access memory, which is a temporary memory which will be available only until you shut down your computer or terminate your program. Okay, so this variable, whatever you create, you can assign some value to it, you can modify it at any point of time, you can retrieve it. Now let's see how to declare a variable. Integer, it means the type of data we want to store. Okay, so in case if you want to use decimal, then it should be float here. Okay, in case of string, you can put it as string. In case of character, you can have it as characters. Then the second part, okay, after a space, there's the second part where you need to name the variable. So why to name a variable? It is just purely for our own reference, because we want to retrieve it back, we want to call it at some point of time, we want to do some calculations based on this. So we have a name, okay? It can be any name, x, y, a, b, c, d, whatever you want, equal to. So what it means is that we are trying to assign a value 18 to the variable named age, which is of type integer. That's it. And you end it with semicolon. So when you do this, run your program, what happens is within your RAM, okay, assume that this is your RAM. So what happens is, this is a reserved memory, and it will store the value whatever you have provided. So whenever you call age, it will automatically go back to this particular point. It will retrieve the value whatever is there and it will bring it back to you. So this is how it works. How to assign a value to a variable? I want to modify the value in the variable. How to do it? All you need to do is recall the variable name and put an equal to symbol, and then put the value whatever you want. What you should remember is you don't need to put the data type once again, because we have already created a variable of type age. This is called as declaring a variable and initializing it. This is called as we are referencing, or we are calling the variable. Okay, so you don't need to put an data type once again here. All you need to do is you call the variable and assign the value to it. And again, you need to remember that because we have declared it as integer, you can assign only an integer here. You cannot just go and assign a string over here. Okay, so it will not work. It will throw a compilation error. So what happens is when you assign 20 and you run the program, the old value here, okay, again it will go back. When you reference this variable age, it will go back and it will see, oh, there's the value 18 and you have assigned a new value 20. And what it will do is it will just replace the value 18 with 20 into your memory. Fine. So with this, we have covered the very basics of programming. Hope you enjoyed it. Please put on your comments, like, share, and subscribe, follow us, and share with your friends. So if you want to take this forward further, what I would suggest to you is pick up a programming language of your choice, whatever you want, and try to learn it. If you're not sure where to start, what I would suggest is to start with Python, because that's a very simple and easy to learn language, and proceed from there. And I'm pretty sure that we are going to have tutorials even on Python, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and a lot of stuffs in the immediate future. See you soon. Thank you.